With all the finger pointing going on today, you'd think these people had AI-generated hands. In our latest episode of Drop the Stones with our friend Sarah, the Appalachian Oracle, we started talking about this blame it and pointing fingers and everything like this. And the old axiom, you point one finger, you got four more point back at you. And it's so true because there's a lack of accountability of what's going on and actual accountability of what you can take control of in your life and what you can do. But instead, we'd like to shift blame and put it off on the other people and other groups. And it's happened throughout history. A common one that's coming up now is the 1930s, where we weren't going to take accountability for the peace treaties that we signed, but we're going to blame a group of people for our economic destitution that's going on. And people are starting to see commonalities between that today. Instead of blaming the rich people for the lower and middle classes not being able to afford roofs and foods over their head, they want to blame immigration policies and everything else because they're the ones taking our jobs that no one else is really going to be applying for in any time in the future. They're not deporting titans of industry. But a common thing that Sarah brought up in the episode that I see here in the state that I live in, Nebraska, and she sees in West Virginia, is that you have this rural versus city finger pointing too, where we see that there's two different voting populations, and the rural areas are definitely not voting for economic growth or development or help for city folk that are struggling on anything, because that doesn't affect them at all. And they're the ones that are the problem. And they're the ones that are causing all these government programs to come in, and not realizing that all these government programs like USAID and all that are helping these farmers out more than anything else, giving so much aid and all these programs to subsidize their crops and their cattle and everything that goes on there. They don't want to actually take accountability for this. And the city folks sitting here trying to blame the county folks for the country folk for just doing what they do out there and not really taking concern what's going on in the cities, which are the economic developments of the state, not realizing how much money the rural areas are actually producing for the states that they're in. So instead of actually looking at what we can do that's best for our whole area, our whole state, our whole country, and how we can get along and find programs to help both and see the benefit of helping someone that might not have direct benefit for us, but will have long-term benefits for us. So if we have subsidies for the farmers and everything else to help them produce the foods that they need to produce, we'll have cheaper foods in our grocery stores, and realize this. And that's how we can kind of come alongside each other. But instead, we want to finger point and blame and say, cut all this stuff from these people. They're not the ones doing it. That's not the issue that we have. The issue that we have is with the people running everything and controlling everything. When you have distribution of wealth issues like we see today, and that all this money is getting siphoned up to the top of the pyramid and being sucked out of the bottom lower levels, and all the benefits are going to the top so that they don't have to be accountable for anything that they do and get all the breaks that are possible that could be well used by the people down below. And seeing that as the actual problem, we want to point it at other things that aren't the problem. It's a deflection. It's a tool used by the upper percentages to control us and manipulate us and keep us fighting amongst ourselves and not focusing on a real issue. We have to focus on a real issue here. It's the people that are in charge, the people that are running things, the people that have all the wealth in our country, that are destroying everything because they're sucking all the wealth from us and taking all the money from us to increase their own pockets in which they were taxed heavily, could help benefit everything else. If you look at the 1930s and what happened after the Great Depression and some of the laws that got passed and regulations with minimum wage and 40-hour work weeks and Social Security and so on, where redistribution of wealth was looked at and tax rates for the rich went way up, you saw an economic boom through the 40s and 50s. The generation of the boomers that can't understand why people don't hold jobs anymore or are able to support families or go on vacations or have a house on a $1 income. They got the benefits from all that. Hopefully, we can learn from history and start seeing that if we do start taxing the high rates and seeing that that could benefit the whole country and actually produce and make everybody better off, we'd come in. But instead, they want to focus on blaming and try to control it all themselves. We need to open our eyes and wake up and see what's going on and find where the blame really needs to go.